Hey guys, this is Jason with Soulfire Videos, and today I have a few resources I want to recommend that you implement in your church to address the issue of pornography addiction and sexual sin in general. So the first resource I want to talk about is a free one, so everybody can engage in this one, and should be self-explanatory, but unfortunately needs some explaining. That resource is we need to be talking about it. Talking about it. Sexual sin is a big temptation in the church today because it is taboo. We really aren't talking about it very much. So as I engage in counseling and helping men on the college campus who grew up in the church, they're believers, and they're struggling with sexual sin, typically I'm the first person who's talked to them about it and had conversations with them about it. We have to address this elephant in the room. I recommend we talk about it frequently from the pulpit. I recommend we talk about it frequently in the context of small groups, and it absolutely needs to be talked about if you're engaged in parenting or discipling any other believer. We need to be asking them questions. Don't assume that if somebody hasn't brought this up, they aren't struggling. We need to ask direct and specific questions and give people the opportunity to confess and to come out into the light. So that's the first resource, simply talking about it. Next, I want to recommend a resource for small groups, and that is the Conquer series. This is a new resource that's put out for men. The nitty-gritty of this battle against sexual sin and against pornography will be fought in a small group setting or in one-to-one accountability relationships. Both men and women are going to need like-minded warriors to come alongside them, people who will ask them questions, people who they can confess their sin to, and who they know that they are not battling alone. We will need others. So I want to recommend the Conquer series for men. It is a phenomenal series. It is a 5-week series. It's a DVD plan, plus there's workbooks that go along with the series, and then there's homework assignments each week for the men in that group, and they will engage in community with one another. They will gain a greater understanding about why this temptation is so difficult, why trying harder does not work, and what it's going to take to find freedom against pornography and sexual sin addiction. So that's the Conquer series. Recommend you check that out. For women in the small group setting, there's a series by the Navigators called Living in the Light, small group curriculum for women. Now, please do not make the assumption that the women in your church are not struggling. If we say things from the pulpit like, hey, this is a men's issue, or we know guys are struggling with this, we will further isolate our women who struggle, and we will increase the shame that they experience as they are struggling with pornography and sexual sin. By percentage, the numbers aren't as high with our women, but they are growing, and we cannot assume this is a men's only issue, so we'll need curriculum for women. So Living in the Light is a great resource for churches to engage for small groups for women as well. Next, I want to recommend a book. My favorite book on this topic is Surfing for God by Michael Cusick. Cusick does a great job of giving us an understanding of the nature of addiction, why this is such a temptation, and really how it is a divine given passion that we have for intimacy that's really gone wrong with sexual addiction. So if you are a struggler, if this is something you're struggling with, I really would recommend you read this book, maybe read it with a few small friends. If you're not a struggler, but you want to gain insight into how you could help a struggler, well, then I absolutely want to recommend this book. You'll gain a lot of insight. And also, Cusick's going to give a lot of to-dos, a lot of things that you can do to engage in finding freedom from sexual addiction and sexual sin. Lastly, I want to talk about some technological resources that are available, and my favorite one is Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes is a software program that provides internet accountability and also filtering. So primarily, Covenant Eyes is an internet monitor. If you put it on your computer, it will monitor the internet usage, and it will send a weekly report to an accountability partner or partners that you set up. So for parents, this could be vital to have this on your home computer, have this on your children's laptops and cell phones, smartphones, to be able to see what sort of content they're engaging in. And also, filtering is available. And just a few sentences as to why I find monitoring to be better than filtering. Filtering is like putting a giant wall around the pornography that might come into your home. But a wall isn't going to tell you who tried to climb over it or who made it over. Monitoring basically would do that. Monitoring is going to say, hey, this user tried to search for this content on this date and at this time. So monitoring gives us an opportunity to then go follow up with that person and provide accountability, whereas a filtering would simply be passive. But Covenant Eyes can do both, so I highly recommend that resource. Also, for your church, Covenant Eyes has a number of free ebooks and resources for you to gain education and information about this battle. So they have even a recent ebook called The Porn-Free Church, or Accountability Groups for Men. And they also have a lot of resources for parents as well to read, to gain understanding, and to see how they can more effectively parent in this digital porn-filled world that we're raising our children in. So those are the top resources that I'm going to recommend. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe to this channel. I'll have more videos coming soon over the coming weeks. Thanks so much.